Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about women at point zero, and I am going to be doing a close reading on patriotism in the book. So, specifically, let's just jump into the text on page 36 of this version. At the very front of the page, it says, when they pronounced the word patriotism, I could tell at once that in their heart of hearts they feared not Allah, and that at the back of their minds patriotism meant that the poor should die to defend the land of the rich, their land, for I knew that poor had no land. So, right now, Firdaus is talking about how she views patriotism, which is a very big deal in her country since it is a oh my goodness, I'm forgetting, but a religious state. There is a term for it, but I'm completely spacing. I wanted to talk about patriotism in general, which, due to dictionary.com, is the quality of being patriotic, of course, vigorous support for one's country. But I know that this is going to be a little bit different because patriotism in general is different from patriotism specific to Islam. So I went ahead, and this is from Quora, just a question asking site similar to Yahoo Answers, and they were unpacking patriotism in terms of Allah. Prophet Muhammad said, quote, by Allah, I know that you are the most beloved land to Allah. By Allah, I would have not left you had your people not caused you to leave. It says, quote, what is discouraged in Islam is nation pride. That's to say, to feel you're better than other people just because you belong to some nation or some race. It generates racism. There is something wrong with your feeling of attachment to your country. So I'm taking this new information to also tell me that patriotism, in terms of what Firdaus is talking about, is also synonymous with Islam in a way. It's how this state has decided to interpret their version of what Prophet Muhammad said. And it's saying to be patriotic is to love Allah, to be patriotic is to love Islam. And my claim here is that the people within the text are using patriotism, this and their love of Allah, to promote patriarchy, to actively oppress other people so that they can remain in power. So again, we can go back to this text that kind of goes with that promotion of oppression. And I'm reading it again. When they pronounced the word patriotism, I could tell at once that in their heart of hearts they feared not Allah. So that's this idea that they're using this supposed love for Allah, this supposed love for the Islamic religion, as just means to actively oppress others and to actively stay in power and to promote their agenda. So again, they feared not Allah, and that at the back of their minds, patriotism meant that the poor should die to defend the land of the rich, their land. And I knew, before I knew that poor had no land. So she's saying here exactly what I'm saying. It meant that the poor should die for the rich. Then, going even beyond this and kind of still supporting all of my claims, we can flip to page 122, where patriotism is mentioned again. It's at the very bottom of the page this time, and it says, so I told the man from the police that I knew nothing about patriotism, that my country had not only given me nothing, but had also taken away anything I might have had, including my honor and my dignity. I was surprised to see that the man from the police looked at those moral pride was greatly shaken by what I had said. How could anyone be devoid of patriotic feeling? I felt like exploding with laughter at the ridiculous stance he was taking, the paradox he personified, his double moral standards. He wanted to take a prostitute to this important person's bed, like any common pimp would do, and yet talk in dignified tones of patriotism and moral principles. So here we can see he is also a victim in a way, and I don't really want to use the term victim, but I am, of the people in power. He's a police officer, so he is a servant of the state. He's a servant of this state of being, which is using Allah and Islam. Maybe he does truly believe this is what's best, but for him, he's going to do whatever he is told, whether that is taking Firdaus to someone else's bed or doing something in the name of the Quran. For him, it's the same because the people in power are telling him to do it. And if the people in power, who Allah put in power, if, as Prophet Muhammad said himself, this land is loved by Allah, then it's something that he needs to do. So I think this really helps inform the text overall. I'm trying to wrap up because I'm already at 5 minutes and 18 seconds. To know that there's a group of people in power here, men, different forms of men, that use their love for God to actively oppress others. The poor, by making them die for their land, making the police basically pimp them out, and using sex workers. Um, of course, we can see this corruption in the state when her pimp has more connections in the police than she does when she goes there. Because again, they're doing this for Allah, they're doing this for the man in power. We can see this again when she eventually dies at the hand of the state. So, patriotism in Woman at Point Zero is not about loving a country or loving a God. It's using love for God as an excuse to actively oppress and actively gain power. So, thank you.